For years, the hierarchy of premium TVs has felt pretty straightforward. If you wanted the best black levels and the most accurate darkroom HDR experience, the answer was usually OLED. LED LCD technology, even mini LED, was brighter, sure, but ultimately still a compromise. Historically, the main reasons enthusiasts chose LED LCD over OLED were larger screen sizes at lower prices or concerns surrounding OLED burn-in. But after being given the opportunity to compare an early sample of Sony's new BRAVIA 9 Mark II True RGB LED TV directly against both the previous BRAVIA 9 Mini LED TV and Sony's professional BVM HX3110 reference monitor during a brief session at the company's HQ in Tokyo, I think things may be starting to change. Because what surprised me wasn't just the brightness. A number of mini LED TVs are very bright now. In fact, the other day I measured more than 10,000 nits of HDR peak brightness from TCL's flagship X11L Super Quantum Dot or SQD Mini LED TV. What genuinely caught me off guard was how closely Sony's new BRAVIA 9 II approached the HDR10 presentation of a professional mastering monitor costing tens of thousands of pounds, even in dark scenes. And I think this is where Sony's new RGB LED TV becomes genuinely interesting, because dark scenes are traditionally where LED LCD technology still struggles most against OLED and professional mastering monitors. This low-light sequence from the 4K Blu-ray of House of the Dragon is notorious for being extremely challenging for consumer TVs including OLED, because much of the scene measures below 1 nit in luminance. Yet, the BRAVIA 9 Mark II acquitted itself remarkably well here, delivering a surprisingly close match to the Sony HX3110 in terms of overall shadow detail rendition and scene brightness. More importantly, low luminance colors and hues looked very similar to the HX3110, preserving the intended emotional mood of the scene. Switching to a different movie, this dark sequence from Mulholland Drive is another scene that many consumer televisions, including some OLEDs, fail to reproduce accurately. But the Sony BRAVIA 9 II did an excellent job here, correctly rendering Naomi Watts' flesh tones and the hue of the background pillow, which really demonstrates Sony's continued emphasis on picture accuracy. And according to Sony, part of this comes from the company's painstaking approach to monitoring the RGB LEDs themselves. Sony says the TV continuously analyzes factors such as current, voltage, wattage, and temperature in real time, feeding that information back into the company's proprietary algorithm so that it can precisely compensate and maintain accurate output under different operating conditions over time. This not only helps improve color fidelity, but also contributes to long-term consistency and reliability of the LED themselves. Now, of course, the BRAVIA 9 Mark II still uses a transmissive LCD architecture, so some blooming artifacts are inevitable surrounding bright objects against dark backgrounds, and micro-contrast still won't match emissive OLED technology or Sony's HX3110 dual-layer LCD mastering monitor where every individual pixel can be controlled independently. But once we move into brighter HDR material, the BRAVIA 9 Mark II starts showing strengths that not only surpass OLED in certain situations, but also outperform its predecessor, the original BRAVIA 9 Mini LED TV, which was already extremely bright. In the most accurate professional picture preset on the early 65-inch sample I tested, HDR peak brightness measured above 4200 nits on a 10% window at D65 white point, alongside nearly 1000 nits full screen brightness, coming impressively close to the light output capabilities of Sony's BVM HX3110 mastering monitor. As a result, the Sony BRAVIA 9 II was able to render the sun and surrounding clouds in pan, an HDR title mastered up to 4000 nits, with not only greater highlight intensity, but also clearer highlight detail and stronger color saturation than the previous BRAVIA 9, producing a closer match to the HX3110 reference monitor. DCI P3 color gamut coverage reached 99.29% in UV terms, while Rec 1020 coverage measured 91.28%, which is actually even higher than the Rec 1020 coverage of the Sony HX3110 itself. And perhaps that explains why some highly saturated red 1020 colors occasionally appeared marginally more vivid on the BRAVIA 9 Mark II than on the mastering monitor. Interestingly, Sony has also included a backlight lighting mode setting within the professional picture preset, allowing users to switch between RGB backlight operation and a conventional white backlight mode designed to simulate the behavior of a typical white LED TV. According to Sony, this feature was specifically requested by some film studios because they occasionally need to evaluate content on more conventional white LED consumer displays. As expected, switching to white backlight mode reduced Rec 1020 color gamut coverage significantly down to 78.41%. But more curiously, while toggling between color and white backlight modes, we also observed a visible difference on this SDR Rec 709 color bars test pattern, which ideally shouldn't happen. Objective measurements confirmed oversaturation of the SDR Rec 709 red primary and related secondary hues in color backlight mode, which is something I hope Sony engineers can refine further before full retail production models launch. Otherwise, the BRAVIA 9 II delivered very impactful HDR performance overall, combining the tremendous light output advantages of LED LCD technology with a presentation that remained faithful to creative intent. But perhaps most surprisingly, one area where the BRAVIA 9 Mark II significantly improves upon previous high-end Sony TVs, including Sony OLEDs, is native 10-bit gradation performance, thanks to what the company describes as a major redesign of the video processing pipeline to accommodate RGB backlighting technology. And the results are immediately apparent in these notoriously difficult scenes from the green light in HDR10, where the BRAVIA 9 II exhibits noticeably smoother gradients and reduced polarization, coming significantly closer to matching the image quality of the HX3110 mastering monitor. Honestly, having spent time watching all these clips of my own choosing, I'm starting to understand why Sony suddenly seems much more confident betting on RGB LED LCD technology rather than aggressively expanding its OLED lineup. For years, the premium TV hierarchy felt relatively simple: OLED for the best picture quality, LED LCD for brightness and screen size. But after testing the BRAVIA 9 Mark II side by side against both the previous BRAVIA 9 and Sony's professional mastering monitor, the OLED versus LCD debate suddenly feels much more complicated than before. Of course, whether RGB LED LCD or OLED is ultimately more suitable for you still depends heavily on your own viewing habits, room environment, and budget. If you're undecided about which TV to buy, one place where you can get good advice is at Richer Sounds, a trusted British AV retailer with more than 50 stores in the UK, who provides 6 years warranty on the vast majority of TVs if you join the company's VIP club. You will get the best deals through cheaper VIP exclusive in-store only prices, complimentary gifts or freebies, so go visit your local Richer Sounds store or call telesales for your next TV purchase. Thanks again for your support. Okay, before my allocated session in Tokyo ended, I also managed to measure the native contrast ratio of the VA-type LCD panel used on the 65-inch BRAVIA 9 II, which came in at almost 4000 to 1 natively. I'm expecting to receive a production sample for review in the near future, so if you would like to find out more about motion handling, gaming performance including input lag, and my final verdict, please watch my full technical review video by clicking here.